Paul George was born on May 2nd, 1990 in Palmdale, California to Paul George Sr. and Paulette George. Paulette, He grew up with two older sisters, one being named Portala, who played volleyball at CSU San Bernardino, and the other named Teosha, who played basketball at Pepperdine. Paul George said, "My sister Teosha is 5 years older than I am and a really good basketball player. I started playing against her in the front of our house when I was about 5 or 6. She was also a great shooter and had some really good post moves. She would crush me and I would run into the house crying, but I learned a lot about the game from her." George even started fishing with his dad when he was 2 years old. He says, "I think the first thing I ever picked up was a fishing pole. It was so much fun and it was a good way for me and my dad to connect. He wasn't really into sports, so fishing is how we bonded. We would catch catfish and bluegill, bring them home, clean them, and fry them up." He continued by saying, "I used to be a big chess player too. My 4th grade teacher would give lessons to students after school and I got hooked. I love how it's about outsmarting your opponent." Unfortunately though, at age 6, Paul George's mother suffered a stroke and had blood clots in her brain. At one point she was even pronounced dead. Paul George reminisced and said, "It took me a while to grasp what was going on. She wasn't talking and she couldn't say anything to us. That was hard to see. She was hospitalized for several weeks and bedridden for nearly 2 years. It affected the way I interacted with kids at school. I was already a shy kid, and when my mom got sick, I just became less social. I was sleeping at the hospital, and when she finally came home, I made a place for myself to sleep right next to her bed because I wanted to be by her side. It was a lot to deal with. This was around the time my interest in basketball increased. It was a good distraction." Paulette George recovered well, but she remains partially paralyzed on the left side of her body. His growing interest for basketball did not really manifest, and you'll see why in this next story. His first organized basketball game took place when he was 9 years old. George's cousin was the head of a YMCA team, and Paul's dad told him he had to play in a game in the spur of the moment. He was wearing jean shorts and the YMCA jersey while everyone else had the full uniforms on. His sisters laughed at his getup while he performed poorly on the court. He did not play any more organized basketball until his freshman year at Knight High School. George was moved up to the varsity team early in his sophomore season and was the only non-senior on the team during his junior year. As he got taller, he was asked to play on the inside, but he always wanted to play on the wing. He averaged 14 points and 8 rebounds per game as a junior, but something was missing. His sister says, "He was always a distributor, and that was one of the things that we pressed him about, being more offensively minded. He was shy and struggled with his confidence on the court as well." One day, the coach sat Paul George in front of the team and asked if anyone had a problem with him scoring 30 points a game. No one did, and one teammate even said, "That's what's needed in order to win." That's all he needed to hear. The coach said, he was a completely different player and person on the court during his senior year. That year he averaged 25 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals per game. George led the team to the Golden League Championship and was named the Golden League Most Valuable Player and the Antelope Valley Press Player of the Year. Even after his breakout year, he was under-recruited. Palmdale was a small city, and Paul's sister said, "It's not really the place where you get recruited. You have to make a lot of noise to get people to come out to see you." It didn't help that he wasn't the best player on his AAU team at the time. Most of that hype went to Drew Holiday, who went on to attend UCLA. Paul George's name was nowhere to be found on ESPN's Top 100 list or the Rivals 150 list. However, Klay Thompson, who played alongside George on the team, was ranked number 51 on the Rivals 150 list. Raptors guard DeMar DeRozan was also ranked number 3 in the nation, and they all played with or against each other since they all lived in Southern California. However, George picked Fresno State over other schools because he wanted to play major minutes immediately. Paul George played 2 years there. With a 13-21 record, the team failed to qualify for the 2009 NCAA tournament during his rookie year. That year, he started all 34 games and finished the season averaging 14 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1.7 steals per game while shooting 47% from the field. Entering his sophomore season, he was named the most entertaining player in the West region and the 8th most entertaining player in college basketball by Sports Illustrated in their list of the top 16 most entertaining players in college basketball. This was mostly due to his thrilling dunks and posterizers. During his sophomore year, the team finished with a 15-18 record, with George averaging 16.8 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2.2 steals while shooting 42.2% from the field and 90% from the free throw line. He was then named to the All-WAC second team. On March 31st, 2010, George announced that he would forego his final 2 seasons of college at Fresno State and enter the 2010 NBA draft. The Indiana Pacers selected him with the 10th overall pick, making George the highest draft pick in Fresno State history. He signed his rookie contract with the Pacers, which was a 2-year guaranteed deal worth $3.9 million. During the 2011 playoffs, George was one of the only 2 rookies from the 2010 draft to be in the starting lineup for his team. In those playoffs, the Pacers lost in 5 games to the Chicago Bulls, led by Derrick Rose, but Paul George was named to the 2011 NBA All-Rookie Second Team. During the 2011-2012 season, George was selected to compete in the Rising Stars Challenge and the Slam Dunk Contest during the 2012 NBA All-Star Weekend. He ended up losing the contest to Jeremy Evans, though. That year, the Pacers lost to the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference semifinals in 6 games. In the 2012-2013 season, Paul George played amazingly. He broke the Pacers' single-game record for threes made with 9. He also had his first career triple-double and his first playoff triple-double. He was also the only player in the league with at least 140 steals and 50 blocks. At the conclusion of the regular season, he was crowned the most improved player of the NBA. Despite his achievements, the Pacers lost again to the Miami Heat in the semifinals. During the 2013-2014 season, the Pacers extended Paul George's contract and he did not disappoint. Despite losing to the Miami Heat in the playoffs 3 years in a row, Paul George was named to the All-NBA third team and to the All-Defensive first team at the year's end. During that offseason, George was named to the training camp roster for Team USA, who would be playing in the 2014 FIBA Basketball World Cup in Spain. He had been considered a virtual lock to make the roster for Spain. However, on August 1st, George landed awkwardly at the base of a basket stanchion after fouling James Harden during a Las Vegas scrimmage and suffered a compound fracture of both bones in his lower right leg. He quickly went into surgery for the fracture, with a pin being inserted in the leg. While no official prognosis was initially given, he was considered likely to miss the entire 2014-2015 season. He reminisced on the rehabilitation process and said, "It was tough from day one to a year in and beyond that. I had to learn how to walk with a boot on. 10 steps with it on and I'd be out of breath. Then I had to learn how to walk with 2 shoes. Then it goes on to learning how to run, how to jump, and how to gain that strength back. I take pride in my work ethic, but it was almost like a reality check. I had to basically start over from the beginning. The other guys were practicing, but I was stuck on a training bike. They would be tired and wishing that they could trade places with me, but I wished I could be in their place. It was extremely hard for me to sit on the sidelines and just watch them. It took a lot of work to come back, but I took no shortcuts." Paul George missed all but the final 6 games of the last season, and it was stunning that he even got back for those. He got a full summer to continue his rehab, defying even the most optimistic expectations of what he'd be when he returned to the floor full time. He then started the next season incredibly hot. He says, "It was just a lot of stuff built up. Sitting out a whole year and taking 2 summers to train and get better, I feel like that was the reason why I had such a hot start. It's like somebody who's been grounded for so long and they finally get to go outside and play." He averaged more in every category after his long-awaited return. His 3-point percentage skyrocketed by about 10%, and his player efficiency rating increased as well. The next season, George ranked 4th in the NBA in scoring and scored a career-high 48 points. He also started in the All-Star game and was the game's leading scorer with 41 points, which was only 1 point shy of the record set by Wilt Chamberlain in 1962. Following that season, he joined the 2016 Olympics team in Rio, which won the gold medal. Here are some quick rapid-fire fun facts about Paul George. Growing up, he was a Clippers fan, but he idolized Kobe Bryant. He said, "I went the whole 9 yards. Anything you can think of. I had the Kobe jersey, I would do the Kobe walk, I would walk around the house doing the Kobe stare down face. Anything you can name, I was idolizing him and trying to be like him." He wore the jersey number 24 for most of his career to honor Kobe. Paul George even got his Kobe shoes signed during Kobe's farewell tour. He also named his pit bull dog after Kobe and said, "It's only right." He changed his jersey number from 24 to 13 after Bill Simmons convinced him it would make an awesome nickname. For those of you guys that might not really get it, When you add Paul George's initials to the number, okay, so Paul George, PG, and then 13, you get PG-13. And obviously Bill Simmons thought that would be the coolest nickname ever, and Paul George ran with it. He did a little Q&A on Twitter, and he revealed that his favorite drinks are Gatorade and strawberry lemonade. Some of his favorite rappers include Drake, Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, and more artists. He loves, of course, fishing and bowling, and he claims that James Harden ran from him in a FIFA matchup one time. He has also had quite a colorful past when it comes to women. He actually dated Doc Rivers' daughter and ended up getting another woman pregnant allegedly around the time that they were together. Another one of Paul George's exes took to Twitter to clown him for the pregnancy, but Paul George stepped up and took responsibility for his beautiful 3-year-old daughter named Olivia. All in all, Paul George went from an unknown prospect in Palmdale to an NBA All-Star. He's been doubted and underestimated his whole life, and he's finally proving them wrong on the NBA stage. Although he has had to overcome some tough obstacles like his mother's health issues and his own injury, he has grown into an amazing person both on and off the court. Well, y'all made it through another one. Y'all are just amazing, honestly. Honestly, wow. Now, a disclaimer, I did get some Invisalign like 2 days ago, and I still speak with a lisp even when they're not in. I know. So thank you for enduring through my narration all throughout this edition of Before the NBA. Yes, I did say this edition because I do have a whole playlist worth of Before the NBA videos. So check that out. Might as well. Okay, link in the description. Why not? That's all it takes. See that? Easy. Also, like the video if you're watching this far. I want to see how many people have watched like the whole video. And if you're already here, just subscribe to join the Splash Squad. Like, if you watch this far and you don't, it's like, why? You know, like, it doesn't make sense. You came this far just to leave. How does that work? So subscribe to join the Splash Squad. Thank you guys for watching to the end, and share this with a Paul George fan. You can even share it with a Lakers bandwagon. If someone's starting to like maybe bandwagon because of Paul George and he's coming to LA or whatever, this is the time, okay? They need to stock up on their knowledge, okay? Share it with them. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all later. Peace.